Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we have the CEO of Sterling Metals, Matt Wilson. Matt's joining us today to discuss the current state of the copper market, what commodity he thinks has the most potential this year. He's also going to give us a high-level overview of Sterling Metals. He'll run through the latest drill results, talk about the strategy moving forward and the capital structure, and be sure to stick around to the end to hear what investors can look forward to with Sterling Metals near term. Hey, Matt, welcome to The Dive. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. First time here, so excited to talk about Sterling.
Yeah, we're so happy that you came. Okay, so Matt, let's start off with some macro. The world's biggest miner, Newmont, recently acquired an Australian-based rival, Newcrest, for $19.2 billion. Now, some say that this is one of the big bets on copper. From your view, what is the current state of the copper market?
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting when you look at people much smarter than me. Look at Jeffrey Curry from Goldman. You look at Robert Friedland talking about copper. Everyone's basically projecting a shortfall for copper over the next couple of years. You just don't have a lot of grassroots, big scale projects that can satisfy the needs of the electrification of the world. I mean, whatever metal you're dealing with, copper becomes pretty important when you want to turn the lights on. So it's one of those things where there's all the storm clouds are kind of coming together, and you just sort of see this perfect storm evolving to lead to what should be a pretty fundamentally strong copper market over the next 3-4 years.
What commodity do you think has the most potential this year?
Well, it's a weird market right now. You've had your ups and downs in the lithium sector. I mean, I think it ran up to 70,000, it's down to 20,000. COVID really put a number on everything, and we keep focusing on these short-term movements in commodities. But if you look at the last few bull runs in the commodity sector, I mean, you're dealing with a decade of movement versus kind of a year of movement. So I think that we are really the start of a commodity bull run. But doing a short-term prediction, I don't know. It could be, at this point, it could really be anything. But I think the strong fundamentals, especially as a junior, when you're trying to deal with things that take a long time to put into production, you should see some really bullish moves in most commodities really over the next 5-10 years.
Okay, now let's move on and talk about Sterling Metals. For our audience new to the story, could you give us a high-level overview of the company?
Yeah, Sterling is a relatively new company. We are focused on Newfoundland and Labrador, looking at big rocks and big systems. We have 2 projects. We have our Sail Pond project, which is a polymetallic asset dealing with the high grades of silver and copper and a bunch of other metals. And then we have our newly acquired asset called Adeline in Labrador, which was really the focus of this recent financing we did. This 44-kilometer sedimentary hosted copper basin that we think could be one of the great new hopefully will be one of the great new discoveries in the copper sector around the world.
Now, you announced the completion of your Deep Orion 3D geophysical survey and results from your 2022 drilling on the Sail Pond silver and base metal project in Newfoundland. What can you tell us about the results? What sort of grades did you find?
Yeah, so that Orion survey, so Sail Pond, again, that was the asset we built this company on over the last 3 years. It was just discovered by a school principal at the end of 2016. He was out hunting with his son, found a boulder on the left of his window and chipped it away. It's never been drilled before, never tested. And so the last 3 years, we've been working on it, pushing it forward, done a bunch of drilling. And we got to a point where we realized we needed this geophysical survey kind of to understand the deep roots of the system, because we have high grades on surface stretching across 14 kilometers. And so sometimes you need to see deeper under the ground to figure out what the plumbing is. So this Orion survey was just that. It covers this 2 by 2 by 3 kind of kilometer area right underneath where you have this kilometer footprint of these high grades, narrow but high grades. And so it showed us basically what we would want to see. It shows this kind of chunky chargeability anomaly, which is the sulfide finder, the IP, this chargeability anomaly. It's sulfides are chargeable, and we're looking for sulfides of high grades of copper and silver. And so what this showed is that there's a really prime looking target right underneath where these high grades are, right where you would hope that they would be. And so why this matters is because it gives us the indication of where to drill. So this, in the next couple of weeks, actually, we'll probably start drilling and test out these anomalies. There's about 4 of them across this area. And so exciting time when you've been working on something for 3 years and kind of get the result that you want to get. And so the drill will obviously tell the truth, but exciting over the next couple of months.
Yeah, very exciting. Okay, so Matt, with junior mining, it's always difficult to get the market to interpret exploration results. What do you think that the challenges are with getting the market to understand early stage drilling?
it's all about where you are in the story, right? So if you're drilling something that has been drilled for 100 years and you're trying to find an extension to a mine, then you have a certain expectation of a drill result that should be relative to the mine. I mean, it should be the same or better, and that's why you're there. And in new exploration, sometimes we can get caught up in looking at results from things like that and hoping that they would be the same in a first time discovery. But these things take often many cycles to discover, and many different companies drilling. And so what I think is really important for people to look at is two things. One, are you proving a thesis? Like, do you have a hypothesis that you're trying to test, and is it leading you to a higher degree of success? And then, of course, do you have the money to drill it again? And we're really fortunate at Sterling that we have about $8 million in the bank, and both of our projects have scale. They're ready to go, and kind of you understand the significance of the drill holes that are going to come. So at Sail Pond, you're looking for 10, 20 meters of this really high grade stuff. And at Adeline, we're looking at a set hosted copper project. And so you're looking for 30 to 100 meters of this, of 2% copper. And so just understanding what kind of project you're looking at and where you're at in the spectrum of exploration, I think is important.
How does your exploration plan differ from the thousands of other junior companies?
I think it all starts with people. So we are really fortunate to have a team that is very experienced in not just exploration, and discovery, but in building out an asset and taking it throughout the entire value curve. Our head of exploration, Jeremy Niemi, he took Noront, which was a nickel company in the Ring of Fire that just got sold to Wyloo for $900 million. He took that from 2 million tons to 20 million tons of nickel. He took 300,000 ounces in the Dominican Republic to 4 million ounces and brought Agnico Eagle in back in 2014, 15, something like that. And so you have a person that kind of understands how to take an asset and move it forward into the kind of the mine development cycle. And then on the senior geologist side, we have people like Dr. Neil O'Brien and Dr. Stephen Piercy. Dr. O'Brien was the senior vice president of exploration for Lundin Mining for 20 years, and before that was the GM of Cominco, and so understands how big projects and big systems come together. And so when we're exploring, we're doing targeting, both on a micro scale where we're able to understand kind of like, okay, this is how the system kind of plays out. But you have these people that have done this a lot of times before and seen great copper districts develop, like the Vicuña district in Argentina. And so having these people to drive this program is really one of the differentiating factors of the company. And then I would say the other one is just the scale of the assets that we're going after. The set hosted copper basin in Labrador that we're chasing is 44 kilometers long, with copper anomalies everywhere from 1 to 30% on surface. And so you just have this really big system that you're going after with the right people to target. So it's a little bit of a unique story that way when you're dealing with a company that I think has a market cap of about $12 million.
Could you give us some color on how you engage with local stakeholders, including Indigenous communities, throughout the exploration process?
For sure. So we only started Sterling about 3 years ago. We have a place in Roddickton, which is 40 kilometers away from Sail Pond. So that asset has been great. We employ local people in the community. Everyone is very supportive and looking for jobs. And so everyone seems very happy that we're there. We just acquired Adeline, and one of the first steps we're doing is trying to introduce ourselves and create relationships with the Innu Nation, who are the First Nations group that lay claim over the area. And everyone has been very responsive so far. This project has been drilled prior, but really the key is that this has to be of mutual benefit, both from employment and future revenue down the road. So it's really about near-term benefit, respecting the land that you're on, replacing the holes in the ground that you might be digging, and things like that. So there's really 3 steps. It's like people and jobs, future benefits, obviously for economics if there's discovery, and then making sure that you respect the fact that the land is something that you're a guest on, and you just practice things in the right way.
So what's the capital structure as it stands at the moment?
The company has 112 million shares out. We just did a raise of $6.5 million at 15 cents. So the company has just under $8 million in the bank, 112 million shares out. I think there's 2 sets of warrants that brings us to a fully diluted 170 million, I believe, and the warrants are at 25 and at 40. I believe we're about 60% institutional, and then of the 40% retail. In the last raise, this last raise of 15 cents when we did 6.5 million was about 80% institutionally placed. So really good long-term money in the story. People understand the significance of the assets that we're trying to chase. And I think our enterprise value, the current stock price, about $4 or $5 million. So, relatively tight structure, and lots of catalysts to come.
Okay, so Matt, before we let you go, what should investors be watching out for with Sterling Metals over the near term?
I led that too far. So we're drilling 2 assets this year. I mean, the scale of Adeline is really second to none. We really do feel that it has the potential to be the Voisey Bay of copper discoveries in Labrador. That asset we're targeting drilling at the end of August, drilling into September. But we're going to first start drilling Sail Pond, which was the asset that everyone kind of came to the table for in the first place. Why our team got into Sterling in the first place. So that should be drilled in the next couple of weeks. We should be starting to drill that in June. And so the people are going to get lots of news flow. We have lots of money, really good people to deploy that money. And so we're going to have 2 assets that we're going to be on the go. And so, in a great world, we're going to have 2 really significant discoveries this summer. So in a company that's a $12 million market cap, I think that we can be very excited for the torque that can come from these drill programs.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Matt, and sharing your story with us.
Sandra, thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like videos like these, consider giving our channel a follow by hitting that red subscribe button below me there and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on our future videos. Bye.